You want the vegetables with that, Doc?
Yeah, look.
We need more pasta on the line.
Keep it coming straight ahead.
Close your eyes and imagine this. You're standing in the middle of an ocean so vast that land is just a memory. The nearest coast is 300 miles away. The water beneath you drops down 5 miles to a darkness no sunlight has ever touched. And you're not alone. 5,000 people surround you. 5,000 hearts beating. 5,000 minds thinking. 5,000 souls living together on a piece of American steel that floats but feels more like it flies. This is the USS Gerald R. Ford, an aircraft carrier, a nuclear-powered island that moves. From above, it looks like a giant, majestic, untouchable. But step inside and you'll discover something else entirely. A world compressed. A city folded into itself. A place where every inch matters because there are no more inches to spare. The ship stretches longer than 3 football fields. It weighs more than 100,000 tons. It carries enough firepower to make nations think twice. But none of that changes one simple truth. 5,000 people have to live here, not visit, live. They have to wake up every morning, brush their teeth, take showers, eat breakfast, do their jobs, laugh with friends, miss their families, fall asleep, dream. Then wake up and do it all over again. For months. No running to the grocery store, no driving home after work, no stepping outside for fresh air without seeing nothing but water in every direction. The ship has no streets, just corridors so narrow your shoulders brush the walls. It has no parks, just steel and more steel. It has no horizon you can walk toward. Just the same metal rooms, the same metal hallways, the same metal everything. But somehow it works. Somehow these 5,000 sailors turn this floating fortress into something more than just a weapon. They turn it into a home. Not the kind of home you'd choose. Not the kind of home you'd build if you had unlimited space and unlimited money. But a home nonetheless. Because home isn't always about comfort. Sometimes it's just about the people you share the struggle with. Every day, the cooks prepare 18,000 meals. Every night, 5,000 people squeeze into bunks barely bigger than coffins. Every morning, they share bathrooms that would make most people quit on the spot. And they do all of this while the ocean tries to kill them. While storms taller than buildings crash against the hull, while fighter jets weighing 30 tons slam onto the deck above their heads every few minutes. While the ship's nuclear heart beats in the darkness below, generating enough power to light up a city. This is not a cruise ship. This is not an adventure. This is survival wrapped in purpose. This is sacrifice measured in inches of personal space. This is what it means to serve on the most powerful warship ever built. The question isn't whether it's hard. It is. The question is how they do it, how they eat, how they sleep, how they stay sane when the walls never stop closing in and the ocean never stops reminding them how small they really are. You can support us by liking, subscribing, and telling us which country you are watching from. The alarm clock doesn't ring at 3 in the morning. It screams. Down in the galley, before the sun even thinks about rising over an ocean that doesn't care what time it is, the culinary specialists are already awake, already moving, already working. Their hands are fast, practiced. They've done this 1,000 times. They'll do it 1,000 more. Because in 6 hours, 5,000 people will be hungry. And hunger doesn't wait. Hunger doesn't understand that supplies are running low. Hunger doesn't care that the nearest grocery store is on a continent you can't even see. Feeding 5,000 people isn't like cooking dinner for your family. It's not even like running a restaurant. It's like feeding an entire town, 3 times a day, every single day, for months. The numbers are almost impossible to believe. 18,000 meals, every 24 hours. That's more food than most hospitals serve, more than most schools prepare. And unlike those places, an aircraft carrier can't just order more when they run out. They can't call a delivery service. They can't run to the store. When a supply ship arrives every 7 to 10 days, it brings mountains of food, literally mountains, 400,000 pounds at minimum, sometimes a full 1,000,000 pounds, crates of frozen chicken, gallons of milk stacked like building blocks, cases of cereal that could fill a garage, lettuce, tomatoes, bread, rice, pasta, sauce, spices, coffee, juice. Everything gets carried below deck through narrow passageways, down steep ladders, into refrigerated storage rooms the size of gymnasiums. Every item labeled, every box counted. Because when you're 300 miles from land, running out of food isn't an option. The cooks work in spaces called galleys, 7 kitchens spread throughout the massive ship. These aren't cozy kitchens with windows and sunlight. These are industrial factories built for volume, not comfort. Giant pots that hold 80 gallons of soup. Ovens big enough to roast 100 chickens at once. Fryers that bubble and spit hot oil, while the floor beneath them moves with the waves. Mixers that could swallow a person. Freezers so cold that stepping inside feels like winter arrived in seconds. And heat, constant, suffocating heat. The kind that makes your shirt stick to your back within minutes. The kind that turns an 8-hour shift into an endurance test. But the cooks keep going, chopping vegetables, seasoning meat, stirring massive pots of rice, pulling fresh bread from ovens that never cool down. Because in a few hours, the crew will line up, hungry, tired, needing fuel to keep going. The menu rotates every 21 days. Not because anyone gets bored, but because variety matters, because morale matters. Because when you're living in a steel box thousands of miles from everyone you love, a good meal isn't just food. It's a reminder of home. It's a moment of comfort. It's proof that someone cares. So the Navy doesn't just serve rations, they serve real food. Burgers and fries, tacos on Tuesday, pizza on Friday. Sometimes even steak or lobster for special occasions. Fresh cookies from the bakery, pasta bars where you choose your toppings. Breakfast served all morning with eggs cooked to order. And it's not just about taste, it's about nutrition. About keeping 5,000 bodies strong. 5,000 minds sharp. 5,000 spirits from breaking. The Culinary Specialists compete in cooking competitions. Real competitions with judges and prizes. Some of them trained in professional culinary schools. They take pride in their work because they understand something most people never think about. On an aircraft carrier, the galley is sacred ground. It's where exhausted sailors sit down after a 16-hour shift. It's where friends gather and share stories. It's where homesick 19-year-olds remember what their mom's cooking tasted like. It's where the crew becomes a family, even if just for 30 minutes. When the meal lines open, 1,200 people can move through in a single hour. Trays sliding along rails, hands reaching for food, voices rising and falling in conversation, laughter cutting through the noise of ventilation systems and distant machinery. And then, just as quickly as it filled, the galley empties. Sailors return to their posts. The cooks begin preparing the next meal. The cycle continues, because hunger never stops. The mission never pauses. And somewhere deep in the belly of this floating city, the next meal is already being born. If you are amazed by American power and technology, type "proud" in the comment. Night doesn't really exist on an aircraft carrier, not in the way you know it. There's no sunset you can watch from your bedroom window. No stars you can see before drifting off to sleep. No darkness that comes naturally and tells your body it's time to rest. Instead, there are schedules, rotations, watch shifts that ignore the sun completely. You might work for 6 hours, sleep for 4, work for another 8, sleep for 3 more. Your body stops understanding what day and night mean. Time becomes something fluid, something that bends around the mission. And when you finally get those precious hours to sleep, you don't go home. You don't even go to your own room. You go to your rack. That's what they call it. A rack. Not a bed, not a bunk. A rack. Because calling it a bed would be too generous. Picture a coffin. Now picture living inside it. Not just lying in it, but keeping everything you own in it. That's closer to the truth. 6 feet long. 26 inches wide. with only 20 inches of space between the mattress and the bunk above you. 20 inches. That's less than the length of your forearm. Less space than most people have in their car's back seat. The mattress is 3 inches thick, thin enough that you can feel the metal frame underneath. And these racks are stacked 3 high, packed into compartments with 60 to 100 other sailors, sometimes more. Imagine trying to sleep in a room with 99 other people. 99 different breathing patterns, 99 different schedules. Some climbing into their racks when you're trying to wake up, others snoring when you're desperate for silence. Boots on metal floors at all hours, whispered conversations, alarm clocks beeping, locker doors clanging. Privacy doesn't exist, not really. You get a curtain, a thin piece of fabric that hangs across the opening of your rack. That's it. That's your only barrier between yourself and the world. Behind that curtain, you create your universe. Photos of family taped to the metal wall. A small reading light clipped above your head. Your phone or tablet, if you're lucky enough to have downloaded movies before deployment. Everything you care about stuffed into a space smaller than most closets. And you learn to make it home, because you have to. You learn to sleep through the impossible, through the sound of fighter jets launching from the flight deck directly above you. 50,000-pound machines accelerating from 0 to 150 miles per hour in 2 seconds. The catapult system releases with a sound that makes the entire ship shudder. A violence of noise that would wake anyone on their first night. But after weeks, your brain adapts. The sound becomes normal, background noise, like traffic outside an apartment window. You learn to sleep through the arrested landings. Jets slamming onto the deck at full speed, caught by steel cables that stop them instantly. A crash that sounds like the world is ending. Over and over, every 45 seconds during flight operations. You learn to sleep through the constant hum of machinery. The ventilation systems pushing recycled air through every corridor. The nuclear reactors deep below generating power without rest. The footsteps of thousands of people moving through passageways just beyond your curtain. Some sailors go weeks without seeing the sun. Their racks are so deep in the ship that they wake up in darkness, work their shifts in artificial light, and return to darkness to sleep. No windows, no natural light, just the endless glow of fluorescent bulbs and computer screens. The body gets confused, depression creeps in, the mind starts to fold in on itself. But the Navy understands this. So there are gyms scattered throughout the ship, small lounges with books and movies, chapels for quiet reflection, spaces intentionally designed to give sailors somewhere else to be besides work and sleep. But still, when exhaustion finally takes over, you return to your rack. You pull that curtain closed. You wedge yourself into that narrow space. And somehow, impossibly, you sleep. Because your body has no choice. Because the work doesn't stop. Because tomorrow, or in 4 hours, or whenever your next shift begins, you'll need to be ready. Storage is its own challenge. Each sailor gets one small locker, 10 inches by 22 inches by 41 inches. Everything for a 6-month deployment has to fit in that space. Uniforms, civilian clothes, toiletries, personal items, photos, letters, everything that connects you to the person you were before you stepped onto this ship. And yet, they make it work. They fold and compress and organize with a precision that would impress anyone, because there's no other option, because this is life now. The newer carriers improved things slightly. Smaller berthing compartments with 40 people instead of 100. Bathrooms attached directly instead of down the passageway. Little upgrades that matter enormously when you're living this way for months. But even with improvements, the truth remains. When night comes, or whatever passes for night on your schedule, 5,000 people squeeze into spaces barely big enough for their bodies. They close their eyes in rooms that never stop moving, never stop humming, never stop reminding them they're floating on an ocean that could swallow them without a trace. And somehow, they sleep. Somehow, they dream. Somehow, they wake up ready to do it all again. Water is life. Everyone knows this. But on an aircraft carrier, water becomes something else entirely. It becomes currency, a luxury, a carefully measured resource that determines how clean you can be, how human you can feel. The bathroom is called a head, and sharing a head with 100 other people teaches you patience you never knew you had. 3 showers, 4 toilets, a handful of sinks, for 100 sailors who all need to be somewhere 10 minutes ago. The shower stalls are barely wide enough to turn around in. Metal walls, a plastic curtain, and a simple rule that every sailor learns on day 1. The Navy shower. Turn the water on, get wet. 15 seconds, turn the water off. Soap everything. Then turn the water back on, rinse completely. Total time, 2 minutes. Total water used, maybe 3 gallons. Compare that to the 20-minute showers people take at home, the 60 gallons most civilians use without thinking twice. Here, water discipline isn't optional. It's survival, so you learn the rhythm. You learn to wash your hair while rinsing your body. You learn to soap up so fast, your hands become a blur. You learn to ignore the person waiting outside, checking their watch, hoping you'll finish soon. And when the toilets break, which they do more often than the Navy wants to admit, everything becomes harder. Sailors have dealt with sewage on floors. They've resorted to using bottles. They've held it for so long that health problems develop. But they're real, and they're part of the price these men and women pay. Still, every morning, 5,000 sailors manage to wake up, clean themselves as best they can, put on their uniforms, and report for duty looking sharp. Professional, ready. The head becomes a social space in strange ways. Sailors brush their teeth side by side, talking about their families back home. They wait for showers and share stories about what they'll do on their first day of leave. They help each other tie their uniforms correctly. In a place where privacy is nearly extinct, the head somehow becomes a place of vulnerability and connection, where people see each other at their most human. And beyond the daily routines of eating and sleeping and staying clean, there's something bigger happening. Something that can't be measured in gallons of water or inches of bunk space. Community is being forged. Family is being built. These 5,000 people didn't choose each other. They came from different states, different backgrounds, different lives. But here, on this floating city, those differences fade. Everyone shares the same struggles. Everyone misses home. Everyone gets tired, and everyone finds reasons to keep going. In the galley, laughter erupts over inside jokes. In the berthing areas, sailors help each other through heartbreak when bad news arrives from home. On the flight deck, they trust each other with their lives because there's no other choice. This is what makes it bearable. Not the food, not the racks, not the showers. It's the people. Always the people. 5,000 souls floating on an ocean that could swallow them whole. Living in spaces too small, working hours too long, missing people too much. And somehow, impossibly, turning this steel fortress into something resembling home. Because home isn't really about the building. It never was. Home is about the people who see you at your worst and stand beside you anyway. And every night, when those 5,000 sailors finally close their eyes in their coffin-sized racks, they carry that truth with them into sleep. They're not just surviving, they're living, they're serving. They're proving that humans can adapt to almost anything when they have a purpose bigger than themselves and brothers and sisters willing to share the load. The ocean stretches endlessly in every direction, but inside this floating city, 5,000 hearts beat as one.